Where's Ray?" Jared didn't answer him. Not right away. He was staring at Johnny Delmer. Dell's head was once again resting against the window. He looked like he was taking a nap on a long car ride to hell. His eyelids were closed now, and his face was slack and still. Dell's beard was cemented with a slushy mixture of freezing blood and drool. "He looks like a prop from the set of a horror movie," Jared said. "Jesus, did he say anything else while I was gone?" "Yeah, he did, and it bummed me out, guy. As soon as you left, he turns to me and says, 'You'll be next, little rabbit.' And then he just kinda slumped over and stopped talking. Next for what? Why did he call me a fucking rabbit?" Jared shrugged. "Don't worry about it right now, man, because we've got..." "What happened to Ray? Why isn't he with you?" Mo's eyes were wide, frightened and glistening. "Something bad happened. I can see it in your face. Tell me what happened." "That's what I'm trying to do, for fuck's sake. Be quiet for a second." Jared kept staring at Delmer's inert bulk. His face was deathly pale, save for twin blotches of high, hectic red on his stubble-covered cheeks. "Mo, listen to me. There's something out there, man. Out in the fields. Remember what Ray said earlier? About how he saw a snow devil chase that deer out onto the road?" "The deer. You did find it, didn't you?" Mo's voice was very small. "You lied about it." "Yeah, I did. I thought it was for the best at the time. I found the doe and it was mangled all to shit and back again. Like something completely savage, that fucker." Mo crossed his arms to suppress a shiver. "That didn't happen when we hit it?" Jared shook his head. His eyes didn't waver from Dell's face, not for a moment. "No, not a chance. The doe spooked me pretty bad, but then I saw one of those things go after a rabbit. It caught him. What was left of it got blown away by the wind." Mo's mouth turned down into a small, frightened little crescent. "Get the fuck out," he whispered. "I didn't tell you guys because I wanted to wait until I had to. The situation was shitty enough already, without that particular fact being out in the air." Mo nodded slowly, his eyes large and dark. "Sometimes not knowing is better. I get that. When Ray went out there into the field, did he..." Jared swallowed hard and said, "When I went back out into the field to find him, Ray was just standing there, swaying in the wind. He looked like a sleepwalker. He said that a voice in his head told him he should come out and say hi. He didn't even remember going out there. We were on our way back and one of those things, a snow devil, it came out of nowhere and chased us. We ran like hell, but it was too fast. It was right on top of us and Ray looked back at it, even though I told him not to. He looked back and what he saw made him trip over his own feet. I didn't stop to help him. I kept running." Mo scrubbed his hands over his face and let out a quavering little sigh. "He's dead?" Jared was studying Johnny Delmer again, his expression sharp and watchful. Yeah, he's dead. There was nothing left of him but a lot of blood in the snow and a few scraps of his jacket in the wind." "Faces in the whirlwind," Mo breathed. "That's what Dell said, isn't it? Something about eyes too, and teeth." His lips were trembling. "I can't handle this shit, Jared. This is too fucking scary for me, guy. I've got a nervous condition and I can't handle scary shit like this." "You have to try and stay calm, man. Panicking and freaking out isn't gonna help us. Clear thinking might. And I'll tell you what I think. I think that these things are trapped in the fields. It seems like they can't cross the ditch." Jared coughed and winced. His throat was raw from inhaling the icy blast of gritty snow that shrieked and gibbered, endlessly, just outside of their frail fiberglass shelter. "That doe was ripped up pretty bad. But I've seen what these things can do, and there shouldn't have been anything left to jump onto the road in the first place. I think that it just barely grazed the doe as she was jumping to clear the ditch, just for a split second, just long enough to slice her up. If it was able to cross the ditch and follow her, it would have. I'm sure of it. What makes you so sure, guy? Mo was starting to slide towards panic again. What, did you stop and ask it or something? Was that before or after it chewed up Ray and spat him out, huh? How the fuck do you know for sure? Because if they could, they would have gotten us by now. But they haven't. How am I supposed to keep calm if you're gonna keep saying shit like that? Mo hissed. He flapped a hand at Del. And then there's this fucking guy here, saying weird stuff like, you'll be next, and little rabbit, and fucked up shit like that. Seriously, what the hell is that supposed to mean? I'm next for what? Next to die? Fuck you, Delmer. Well, Jared said, slowly. If that's what he meant, he was wrong. You aren't next in line. Del was. I've been watching him for a few minutes now, and he hasn't moved or drawn breath even once. He's starting to turn blue. Jared hesitated, then added, I'm pretty sure he's dead. Oh, fuck me. Mo closed his eyes tightly. I've been sitting in here with a dead body? Not for much longer. We're gonna jump out real quick and pull him out of here, before he gets frozen into a sitting position. I'm not touching him. No way. No, that's too much. Mo shook his head violently. Not gonna do it. Yeah, you will. This fucker's gotta weigh at least 240, probably more. I'll have a hell of a time trying to do it myself. It'll be quicker and easier with the two of us. I don't want to touch a dead body. Seriously, guy. No, that's fucking gross. Seriously, guy? Yes, you will. Jared's cold terror was beginning to heat and boil up into anger. He could see that Mo was showing his true colors, as people always do when the chips are down. For all of his bluster and pomp, Mo was, in all actuality, something of a crybaby bitch. Jared's patience was at an all-time low, and he'd never been known for his patience. I don't want to have to say this again, bud. You're going to get the fuck out of the car, just like a big boy would, and you're going to help me drag this dead, burly son of a bitch the fuck out of here. Now, before you speak, remember, I'm not going to be happy if I have to repeat what I just said. Mo was crying. He was trying his best not to, but he was. Okay, don't get mad at me, guy. Don't, please, I'm shitting bricks over here. This is too fucking scary for me. I have a nervous condition and I can't deal. He's telling you the truth, you know. He's very, very afraid. We can smell it in the wind. Del rasped, and Jared flinched back against the door hard enough to wrap his head. Del started to grin. His eyelids flew open, and his eyes looked like frosted over marbles. He sat upright and turned his head to the left, pinning Jared to the door with a gaze that was horribly flat. Horribly dead. Every movement Johnny Delmer made was accompanied by a brittle crackling sound, the sound of frozen tissue being made to flex and bend. Mo screamed and slid off his seat. He cowered beneath the steering wheel with his face in his hands. We could smell you little rabbits down here, hiding in your hidey hole. We could smell your fear, your sweat and your blood. Del grinned even wider. Blood, sweat, and fear. So sweet. It pained us that you were out of reach. It was intolerable. Del's words generated no vapor. His breath was as cold as the winter air itself. Kick it in the face! Mo shrieked, and the piercing note of hysteria in his voice broke Jared's paralysis. He rocked back and drove the heel of his right boot at the dead thing's nose. Del caught it easily. His grip was impossibly strong. Jared lashed out wildly with his other foot, and Del snatched it out of the air without even flinching. He clamped both of Jared's legs under his arm and reached for the door handle with his free hand. Jared wailed and sat up to batter Del's face with desperate fists. Del's nose broke. teeth shattered. Del grinned jaggedly and popped the door open. "Now there is a way," Del crooned. His voice was the chattering of dead leaves on winter branches. "Now we have a vessel." The horror that wore Del's body like a costume let out a dry, rusty cackle and then started dragging Jared out of the car. He screamed and seized hold of the driver's seat with hands like claws. The Del thing gave his legs a tremendous yank and his body was jerked halfway out of the car. Frigid air slid up the back of Jared's rucked up coat and mauled his skin. He scrambled for purchase like a cat with clumsy gloved hands and screamed, "Mo, god damn it, help me! Get out here and tackle that fucker! Slow him down! Do something!" Del's corpse gave his legs another tremendous yank and Jared's face hit the ground. He fought to roll over and couldn't. Jared flailed and screamed, choking on mouthfuls of dirty snow and road salt. He felt himself being pulled up the slope of the ditch and flailed his arms like a madman. No, 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 no. There was a sudden commotion above him. Del's unbreakable grip on his legs relaxed for a moment, and Jared spastically kicked his way free. He somersaulted down the slope and landed on his ass. A split second later, Del and Mo came tumbling down after him. Their rolling bodies crashed into Jared's back, and there was a brief confusion of kicking legs and pumping fists. Mo tried to clock the Del thing in the jaw and whapped Jared on the nose instead. Jared flopped flat onto his back with his nose spurting and stars exploding behind his eyes. He windmill kicked his legs blindly in the general direction of the melee until he could see again. Jared sat up, and through the prism of involuntary tears in his eyes, he saw that Del had Mo pinned down and had his dead, blue hands clamped around Mo's throat. Mo's heels were stomping deep indents into the snow, a frantic drumbeat of oxygen deprivation. Jared scrambled to his feet and pulled a double-edged hunting knife from his coat, his discreet insurance against unexpected trouble during their meetings with Luca. A wordless howl on his lips, Jared flung himself on Delmer's back and stuck the 8-inch blade into his neck, all the way to the hilt. Del twisted around to grab him, and Jared wrenched the knife in the opposite direction. Razor-sharp steel sliced through the freezing flesh like it was butter, and Del's neck opened up like an obscene flower in bloom. Jared roared up to the sky and yanked the blade the other direction. The sharp edge pushed between two vertebrae, and, like magic, Del's hairy cranium was suddenly hanging against his chest by a few strings of meat and skin. The Delmer thing jabbed backwards with an icy elbow and knocked Jared sprawling. Agony flared in his side, and he writhed like a squashed spider in the snow. Del tottered to his feet, Mo temporarily forgotten, and he advanced on Jared with blindly grasping hands, severed head swaying in front of his chest like the ghastly pendulum in Satan's grandfather clock. Mo sat up and was wrenched by a coughing fit. He was covered in snow and his face was a dull shade of brick red. "Mo, he's still coming! Help me get him down!" Jared forced himself to stand and met the staggering horror's advance with a savage kick to the outside of its knee. Del's legs snapped into a crooked line and he toppled slowly, as if his windmilling arms were somehow keeping him buoyant in the air. The momentum of his falling bulk swung his dangling head around in a vicious arc. It ripped free from its gristled moorings and went flying in the opposite direction. One of the windmilling hands snagged Jared's coat and he was dragged down to the ground. They landed in a heap and Jared's broken rib thrust a long spear of pain into his side, hot and savage. He yelled, "Let go of me, cocksucker!" and stuck his blade repeatedly into the headless thing's chest and abdomen. It was like stabbing a frozen side of beef. "Mo, what the fuck are you waiting for, man? Help me!" Mo had a look of pure, dumbfounded terror on his face. He attempted to get up off his ass, failed, then proceeded to throw a series of loosely packed snowballs at the combatants, keening and sobbing like a child as he did so. Jared panted, "For fuck's sakes, man! Get over here and help me!" And then his hands like blocks of frozen iron clamped onto either side of his head and squeezed. Jared wailed. The pressure was immediate and unbearable. He pulled the blade out of Del's chest and stabbed impotently at the monstrosity's arms. He could hear the low, groaning screech of his own skull, creaking between the thing's massive palms like beams in an old house. Mo came streaking in from above and landed on them both with his knees, much like a professional wrestler diving onto his opponent from the top turnbuckle. The trio was briefly embroiled in another cartoonish confusion of flailing limbs and clouds of snow, which ended with Mo's sitting on Delmer's back and Jared laying across his legs. Del's reanimated corpse was incredibly powerful. Mo and Jared succeeded in pinning it down for a whole 2 seconds before it heaved and flung them through the air like toys. It managed to lurch to its feet, but its broken leg gave away entirely at the first step, so it began to crawl instead. Jared and Mo circled away and watched as their former friend and coworker wormed through the snow with blindly searching hands, seeking out a living body to present as an offering for the puppet masters above. The devils that dwelled in the wind and snow. "He's still moving around," Mo said. His voice was a squeak. "Guy, seriously, he doesn't even have a fucking head and he's still moving. He's still fucking moving around, guy. What the fucking shit?" "Mo, stop looking at it," Jared commanded, "and look at me instead. No, don't look at it. Just look over at me and listen." Jared studied Mo frankly for a long moment, his expression appraising and blunt. He paused to wipe a freezing slush of blood from the lower half of his face with his sleeve, then said, "We can't just stay down here in the car anymore. That thing will just rip off the doors and drag us out. We have to leave. We have to cross the road and get into that gully on the other side of the field. I think that the devils are fenced in by the ditches and woods that border their territory. I don't think they can leave the fields. If we run across that field and make it to the gully, we can cross it and get over to the next major road. It's right on the other side of that gully. I know it is." "We'll never make it," Mo said. He was shivering. "They're too fast. They'll catch us. Even if they don't, Guy, we'll freeze to death. I'm already freezing." Jared pointed at the obscene thing that was hunting them on its belly like a bloated, carnivorous worm, and he snarled, "This bastard here is the motherfucking Energizer Bunny. It'll never give up. Not until we're both dead. If you want to stay here, you're going to have to cut it into pieces. Get it? Take its arms and legs off." Jared shook his head and circled away. Del was crawling too close for comfort. "If you want to try, I'll lend you my knife and my best wishes, because I'm not going anywhere near that piece of shit. Motherfucker broke my rib and he almost crushed my skull." The crawling thing sensed Jared's presence and it wriggled towards him with eerie speed. He jumped away and said, "See that? This fucker doesn't quit. Making a run for the country road is probably our only chance, and I'm taking it." "I'm not going out there. Are you crazy?" Mo squealed, and he backpedaled from Delmer's clutches. "We can walk down the road, Guy. You said they can't cross the ditch onto the road, right? We'll just take the road back the way we came." "And die of exposure," Jared finished. "We've already been through this. There's nothing for miles back there. Just woods and fields and certain fucking death. Listen, man, you've only got 2 choices here. You can come with me and maybe live, or..." Jared pointed at Del. "Or you can stay here with him." Mo's face was miserable and afraid. "I'm scared," he whispered. The wind stole his words. "I'll take that as a yes." Jared turned to the car and muttered, "Wait a sec, I've got to grab something first." He nodded towards Del. "Watch out for that cocksucker." Jared dug around the back seat and pocketed what he was looking for. He turned back to find that Mo was now standing halfway up the slope of the ditch. The monstrosity was snatching at the trampled snow where Mo had just been standing. Jared put up his hood and clambered up the slope to join him. Mo looked like he was ready to fall into pieces. "We aren't going to make it." His words were much like his voice, small and weak. Jared barked, "Stop saying shit like that, would ya?" and winced. Beneath the hum of his pumping adrenaline, his broken rib was screaming. His nose ached and throbbed. It was full of frozen blood. "Of course we'll make it. Once we cross the other ditch, just put your head down and run, man. Don't stop." "What are these things, Guy?" Mo clutched at Jared's sleeve and looked at him with pleading eyes. "Why are they after us?" Because we're warm and alive and they're cold and dead, Jared thought, and said, how should I know? I don't fucking know any more than you do. All I have is a guess, same as you, and we don't have time to be playing guessing games. I'm cold, the light's fading, and that gruesome motherfucker is gonna crawl up here and grab us in a minute or two. So get fucking moving. Now. Jared gave him a shove, and Mo got moving. Jared started after him, then spied something that stopped him dead in his tracks. It was Dell's head. It was planted deeply into the snow just a few feet away. Dell's head was slowly being covered by the shifting snow. His eyes were icy white spheres, and his lips were purple. They were moving. He was saying something. Jared wasn't a lip reader, but he was pretty sure that Johnny Delmer's decapitated head was mouthing the words, catch you, eat you, over and over again. He scooped up a big double gloveful of snow and hurled it into the thing's face. The movement of its lips dislodged the snow, and the hateful litany continued. Catch you, eat you, catch you, eat. Fuck you, Jared growled. Eat shit, how's that? He hawked a greenish wad of phlegm into its face, then turned his back and clambered up the slope. Overhead, the pale slip of a sun was sliding quickly towards the tree line, where it would be extinguished in cold and shadow. Nightfall was coming.